to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. All things hockey, all the time. And now, here are your hosts, two washed-up beer leaguers who have no idea what they're talking about, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cans and Tomahawks podcast. We are officially at 10 episodes of the show. I am Zach Martin, and as always with me is my good buddy, Alex Nuttall. Alex, man, how are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. That is 10 for all of you English-only speaking folks. I used my extensive Spanish vocabulary to count to 10 in honor of our 10th episode.
Yeah,
Doing
man.
great, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. Doing 10 episodes. Not counting the all the bonus episodes we've done, but man, we officially at 10. It's really exciting, man. I'm excited to do this episode with you. We got a lot of cool stuff coming ahead, and also we're not doing it on a normal Saturday, because my birthday's tomorrow. So when you hear this, probably gonna be on Sunday, the day after. But yeah, so we decided to record on a Friday night since I'm officially turning 30 on Saturday. So
Happy birthday, old man, even though I'm older than you, but happy birthday.
Well, appreciate it, man. But yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. So we got the NWHL, gonna preview the playoffs, before next week, next week's semifinals and final game, do some quick NHL stuff, and then of course talking about the Jackets and the Blackhawks. But Alex, man, we are officially 1 week away from the NWHL semifinal games, which are going to happen a week from tonight. How are you excited about that, man? How are you feeling about this?
I'm super excited for the Minnesota Whitecaps to just destroy the Toronto Six in the championship. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whitecaps all
Whatever.
day.
Okay. Right.
Bro,
right.
roll Caps.
I was going to say, remember what happened last time? But then I'm like, oh, wait, that's right.
Roll Caps, baby.
Hey, number 1 seed. We got the 1 seed, so you worry about your team first before you start worrying about the number 1 seed. That is my Toronto Six.
You know what? Honestly, if they both make it to the championship, I wouldn't really care who wins, because it's either my Whitecaps or the Toronto Six in their first season. Either way, it would be cool. So
yeah,
I won't be super upset, but just expect that when the Whitecaps win, I am going to be rubbing that in your face for weeks to come, at least until next year.
Yeah, I want to be shocked. And and the cool thing too is we're actually live streaming next week that finals game on that Saturday. So make sure to come check out with us. We're going to, make the official announcement on Twitter. By the time you actually hear this version, it'll already be announced, but we are going to be live streaming that game next Saturday for the final. Doesn't really matter who's in. If it's one of our teams, both of our teams, or none of our teams, we're still going to do a live stream, because we are a pro NWHL podcast over here at Cans and Tomahawks. So I'm excited about that, man. I'm really excited to be able to us doing our second live stream. Yeah. And it's the NWHL final. So it's going to be
cool. Sure. Especially, the timing couldn't work out any more perfect. It's been a little bit since our other live stream. We have the NWHL and it's championship weekend. So by that time, the semifinal games will happen on Friday nights. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be pretty sweet.
Oh, for sure. So let people know what is the semifinal matchups that are going to be happening a week from today.
So on Friday, March 26th, the first game is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That is going to be the Boston Pride versus the Toronto Six.
Ooh, there we go. We go.
That should be pretty good. And then later on that night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, it is going to be the Connecticut Whale versus the Minnesota Whitecaps. And the winner of that game will play in the championship game on Saturday, March 27th. The game starts at 7 p.m. Our stream is going to be live at 6:30. Zach and I may or may not be in there yet, but we will be live. Ask us a bunch of questions. We will try and answer as many as possible. We will have some giveaways as well during the stream. And I can't wait to watch the Whitecaps win it all. Just can't wait.
Yeah, I would love to say that might happen, but if my Toronto Six are there, I don't know about that. Because they were on a tear before the break, before they had the second pause, and I mean they were leading the whole league in shots. Goals were plentiful leading to the late before that 4-game winning streak. So I don't know about your Minnesota Whitecaps winning.
So you think the good teams are the ones that are not going to get beaten, right? I would just kindly ask you to give a quick little ring-a-ding over to the Ohio State basketball team. That's what I thought.
I
ruining all brackets worldwide. Thank you, guys.
Actually, the funny part was I only had them making the Sweet 16 and losing there. So, I mean, I know how that team was going to be, but you know what? This isn't a basketball podcast. This isn't a college thing. You know, it's all about hockey. Now, if we were talking college hockey, it'd be a different story because the Ohio State women's team made the Frozen Four,
which is congrats going on to them this weekend.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, they did lose in the Frozen Four semifinal, but hey, fantastic job by the women's team for sure. Yeah. Very fantastic job by them. So, you know, big shout out to the Ohio State women's, hockey team over at Ohio State for making the Frozen Four. Very fantastic. Great job by them. So, hey, you know what? At least in some form of way, a college team from Ohio State actually did pretty well. So, and it's hockey. So, like I said, not mad about that. But I think it's going to be interesting matchups for sure. I'm surprised that they're going to have the 1 and 4 seeds earlier in the day. But I mean, hey, a great way to start the semifinals, if you ask me. Like I said, Toronto Six were on a roll, 1-4 straight after that heartbreaker to your Whitecaps. That kind of that hurt a little bit. But they, like I said, they did go on that 4-game winning streak, and they were shooting a lot of goals on net and doing a pretty good job, honestly. Yeah. And, Chuli was doing really good in net. And of course, you had everyone else up front playing really well. And, Lindsay Eastwood got the first goal for the entire franchise. So it's going to be a fun time for sure to hopefully see what the Six do against Boston. And because Boston, they were in the finals last year before the actual, before the season got canceled. And for all we knew, they were going to have that playoff series against Buffalo. And then, of course, unfortunately, the Riveters kind of had to drop out. And that that best of 3 just turned into a best of 3 of who's going to get the seed more than getting in. But I think it should be a good game, though. Boston, Toronto, and we've already seen those two teams already not liking each other. So and now with the fact that this is the semifinal on the line going into the final, this is going to get scrappy between the two teams.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Looking at it, and they both won their final 2 games of the set of games before they stopped play in early February. Yeah. And, Boston won their last 2 games that were both against Buffalo, and they won 6-0 and then 7-1. Wow. And then Toronto won their last 2 games as well. They won 4-3 against Minnesota and then 6-0 and against the Connecticut Whale. Actually,
they won their last 4 games, not their last 2. So,
well, I'm talking just specifically between Toronto and Boston comparison, but they won their last 4 because in Toronto before that won 4-2 over Buffalo and then 2-1 over Boston as well. Yeah. So they were going on a pretty good tear, and they had a ton of shots on net too. So
I think Toronto Six literally led the entire league, the entire stage of the Isobel Cup in Lake Placid by a wide margin. I think the first game they had 40 shots on goal. That is if you look at their shots on goal totals, every game they've had, they had to be almost somewhere in the 300s. That's how many shots they put on net. For the fact that Digit Murphy and that front office put a team together like this on the fly in the middle of COVID and found a team that can put basically all pucks on net. And once they got their first goal, and they just start dumping a lot of them in net. This is a potent offense that can almost score at will. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially how they played against Boston too. Of course, like you said, Boston was on a roll before the pause too. I'm curious, man. Do you think the pause might have affected some teams possibly because you're going from the play you're about ready to start the playoffs and then the whole thing shuts down. Then you can get back. I know they've been practicing, but do you think this pause might change things up a little bit with how the momentum is with the teams and the players trying to get back into that mindset?
Absolutely. I mean, it happened with the NHL. So it's going to happen with them too. I mean, you go from playing, you're ready to go, your team is hot, you're doing great, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, well, we're not playing now. And then it goes to a phase of, all right, well, we're not playing. We don't know when or if we're going to resume. So it's kind of a standby. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to resume. Championship is in 3 weeks. Okay. I mean, they got less notice than the NHL. So I think it's going to affect them more because the NHL at least had the, probably 2.5, 3 months leading up to it, knowing, hey, we're going to start on this day in January. We're going to have this long of a preseason or a training camp. And then, all the off-season free agency crap, all this happens a certain day. They didn't have all of that time to try and figure that out. So I think it will absolutely affect them, but it kind of depends on how much.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's going to be interesting for sure. Because the fact, of course, too, you got all the girls from Toronto having to fly back, from their respective homes in Canada, now have to come back to the States again. Now they have to go to Boston. So you had that as well. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with these games too. But then, of course, you got the second game. You got your Whitecaps. How are you feeling about your Whitecaps going into their semifinal match that's going to happen later that night on Friday?
Solid. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, the team in general looks really good from the offensive side, and their goaltending looks really good too. But I don't know. You have Amanda Lavelle, who has 3 wins, and then she has a .936 save percentage. It looks really good. The one thing that I'm happy about is we're not dealing with Sandra Shelley from Metropolitan. That she has a .987 save percentage, which is ridiculous. But we're not really having to deal with that. You have Audra Richards and Haley Mack that are doing really well on the offensive side, and then Nina Richards has a 1.5 points per game average, and she also has 2 power play goals. So I think it's going to be interesting for sure, because each team is doing well in their own area. But I'm interested to see how everyone is going to play after having that break and that pause.
I think the one thing that, Sandra Shelley, that with her 0.5 goals against, that's absolutely wild. But I think the one thing that probably should make teams worry a little bit is the fact that you also got to worry about Michaela Grant Mentis. I mean, she has 9 goals. Or sorry, she had 9 points, but she has 5 goals. She led the league in goals in that, that tournament play-in, and she was tied for first in points. And then you got, Lindsay Eastwood, 5 assists, who scored the first, goal for the franchise for the Toronto Six. And then, like I said, Michaela also has 1.5 points per game average. So, I mean, that's pretty solid, almost getting 2 points a game. And then even if you look at the, the goalies as well, or go back real quick, the power play goals, Brianne Wilson-Bennett, she got really hot late into the actual, playoffs as well. And Brooke Boquist, she was getting pretty hot as well and stuff like that. And then even goals against, Elaine Shuley for the Toronto Six, 1.61 goals against. And this was after, that early hiccup early in the playoffs and stuff like the first 2 games. For the fact that the Toronto Six goalie's got a 1.61.
Yeah.
That is pretty huge. And I mean, let's not also talk about the fact that Lovisa Salander for the Boston Pride, 1.47. So you're looking at possibly a goalie matchup in that first game between the Toronto Six and the Boston Pride.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with the goaltending, you can't take out Abby Ives, for Connecticut. She has a 2.01.
Oh,
and a .936 save percentage. And she also got 2 wins during that play earlier. So you can't really count them out. Now, they kind of struggled a little bit in the second half of those games, but you can't count anyone out, especially this essentially is kind of wiping the slate clean. Because
it really is. Yeah.
You're getting that time off, and nobody knew it was going to happen that quickly.
Yeah. Well, And here's another thing. Boston's their backup goalie, Victoria Hansen, she also has a 2.27. So Boston really has a two-headed monster down there in the net that they can go with. And like you talk about save percentage, I mean, Elaine Chuli's got a 936. That's a really solid save percentage for the Toronto Six. But of course, you have Amanda Lavelle that, like you said, a 936. So really, all these goalies we talked about, Sandra Shelley with a 987, Louisa Salander 947, your girl Lavelle. I mean, Abby Ives with the 936, with the 936, and then Elaine Chuli with the 936. I mean, you have 5 legit goalies that are really high on the save percentage. It's crazy that the best goalie in the league right now, unfortunately, isn't there with a 987. And you talked about wins earlier with Amanda Lavelle. Elaine Chuli leads the league in 4 wins.
Yeah.
And that was after that 4-game winning streak. I mean, for the fact that, like, you look at these stats, it is absolutely wild how many goals are scored, but for the fact that you have a lot of save percentages, like high save percentages. We're not like talking like 8s or 7s. We're talking like 930 to like 980, which is insane to think about. And for the fact that you have a goals against average, 0.50 for that's the best in the league. And she's not there, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that. I mean, granted, they're not getting the huge pool of games like you would get in the NHL. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things, she had that, but she also played 3 games. So it's kind of one of those things that's hard to really take that. She had 77 shots against, and they only scored 1 goal. So yeah, that 0.5 is going to look really good. But looking at the season before, she played with Connecticut. It was 20 games played, and she had a 3.99 goals against with an 894. So not as great, but still, with having a high scoring team and a high shot volume team like Toronto, and being able to keep everybody down to 1 goal. Mm-hmm. And it's good. It is very unfortunate that she's not going to be playing, as no one from the Riveters are, but I'm excited for the matchups we are going to see.
For sure. No, yeah. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of goalie matchups for sure. It's going to be it's either going to be a lot of low scoring games or a lot of high scoring games. It just really depends. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the Connecticut Whale, because they're not really a team that's going to put a lot of pucks in the net, but they have good goaltending. So you're looking at probably a scrappy game between your Minnesota Whitecaps and the Connecticut Whale. Yeah. Where Boston Pride and Toronto Six, you're going to see either it's going to be a low scoring 2-1, 3-2 game, or you're looking at a 9-8, barnstormer, because both teams can just put the puck in net at will and shoot a ton.
So either you and Boston, or Toronto and Boston, either those 2 offenses are going to show up at the exact same time, or the goaltenders are going to show up at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is going to be, I'm excited to see my Whitecaps play, but I'm looking forward to that Boston-Toronto game, because that is going to be a very, very interesting game from the offensive side of everything. And it's going to it's probably going to get a little crazy at some point.
Well, and the fact too that, like I said, this is a rivalry game, semifinal, go to the final, it's going to get chippy there. We're probably going to see some fireworks in that game and a lot of goals too. But caveat, guys, all these games are going to be on NBCSN, so make sure to check those out if we haven't said that already. NBCSN for the semifinals and the final. So make sure to go and check those out on those channels. Yep. But yeah, dude, I'm really excited. This is going to be a fun time, with the fact that we're going to see some women's hockey's back. We're going to actually have we're going to have a 2021 Isobel Cup winner. It's started this thing in Lake Placid, now going to end it in Boston. And hopefully it's either going to be Toronto or Minnesota taking it back. So, but that'd be wild though if Toronto wins it in their first season.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be really cool. It would be a really cool thing to see that they kind of threw this team together, and they've done this well already. And
in a COVID season.
Yeah, in the COVID season. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to win a championship. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Hey, just think about like our Columbus Crew, we almost lost the team 3 years ago, win a cup. Now you got the Toronto Six, inaugural team, having to sign their entire team in the middle of a COVID situation. You really didn't get a normal regular season, preseason, all that stuff. Then you got to pause, and then you got to do this again to possibly win it. It's gonna be fantastic. So I mean, I'm really excited for the NWHL to be back, and like I said, and for everyone, make sure to check them out and make sure to join us on Saturday night while we do that live stream of the final. Doesn't matter who's in, we're still gonna do it because it's hockey and it's exciting. The fact that we're gonna be able to see women's hockey on the national stage, that is NBCSN. So I'm really excited about that, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. I'm really looking forward to being able to see that come back because it was getting a lot of traction already when it was on Twitch.
Yeah. Especially at the back end of it too. Like we were getting 30,000, almost 40,000 people watching.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was one of the Toronto 6 games. And, it's really cool to see them on Twitter too, because they're super active and to see how big their fan base has become in such a short amount of time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot of the other teams are trying to catch up on the Twitter world with them. It's hilarious. Toronto starts and instantly is just on fire.
Yeah, the small hands crew and stuff like that. The Taylor Swift celebration songs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely fantastic. And the whole team has just got the whole thing energized. And the fact that you have all the players too on Twitter, interacting with each other, interacting with fans and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's great. And the fact that you have all these NHL teams and all the Canadian teams and the AHL teams are all like, luckily we're off. We're going to watch this. So you have all the bigger account, all the NHL accounts too being talking about it. So it's definitely caught a lot of people. I'm hoping we see some lavender neutral zone and some lavender posts. Because
I hope so. Those were sweet.
I'm all for that. The lavender neutral zone was absolutely fantastic, and I really hope they do that. Because of course, that Zamboni craze that was going on during the playoffs, absolutely fantastic. That regular season thing, the bubble, absolutely fantastic. That Zamboni hype was just great.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going to be really cool seeing that come back. Especially being able to be on NBC Sports, you're going to get that national coverage that they deserve to have compared to, okay, well, we have you on Twitch, or, okay, well, you are only in local markets or anything like that. No, they need to be on stuff like this. And hopefully with this new NHL ESPN deal, something can come out of it and the NWHL can get a bite of that too. And okay, we'll get on ESPN2, or they're going to stream all the games on ESPN Plus or something like that. I would really hope to see something like that.
That would be pretty awesome if they got on the ESPN Plus, because I already have that now, and it's fantastic just to be able to pay that how much, like $5.99 a month to watch all that. If they were able to get, because they have a lot of college sports on there too, and if they're able to get the NWHL on there, all for it. I would watch every game. It doesn't even matter if it's my Toronto 6 or if I'm watching the Riveters play the Connecticut Whale, or we're seeing the Buffalo Buttes and the Whitecaps. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, hoping definitely that maybe this is the start of getting the league a more traction and stuff, because to be able to see this league grow at some point and have teams in other markets, that'd be awesome for sure. I would love to see that happen. So, fingers crossed that this kickstarts the next phase for the NWHL.
Yeah. Well, as a reminder, those games are going to be on NBC Sports Network. The Boston Pride and Toronto 6 play on Friday, March 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Caveat, if we ever talk about times, it's Eastern, because we're both in Eastern and we don't care about the other time zones. The Connecticut Whale and the Minnesota Whitecaps play at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday the 26th, and the championship game is at 7 p.m. Again, we are going to have our live stream started, and it will be live at 6:30, and we will hop in between 6:45 and 7 o'clock. We will get ready, and we will have some guests. We are going to have some giveaways as well, and maybe some announcements, possibly. See?
Announcements, you say?
I don't know, merch.
Excuse me? Excuse me.
So I'm excited for that. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time for sure. All right, so that'll wrap up our NWHL stuff. But Alex, what do we have next on the docket tonight before we jump into the Blackhawks and Blue Jackets talk?
Yeah. We just have a couple NHL things we're going to hit on real quick before we get over into period 2. Number 1, Anders Lee. We talked about him before he was out, and it was indefinitely. Well, now he is out for the season after getting a surgery. That's not a good sign for the Islanders. So that changes a lot of their mentality up with the trade deadline and who they're going to go after. Big time. The Boston Bruins games are postponed tomorrow, which is Saturday and Tuesday. The best news of the week, the New York Rangers absolutely obliterated the Flyers.
That was just an all big case of the oofdas for Philadelphia. Like 7 goals in the second period. Yikes.
That was one of the few games I watched. I think I picked it up about halfway through the second period, and they'd scored a couple goals. And I was like, yeah, okay, that can't get too much worse. Never mind.
And it turns out it got a lot worse.
Yeah,
that was, I mean, I saw everyone was losing their minds on Twitter for sure.
It was nuts. And to top it off, Mika Zibanejad had a 6-point night with a hat trick.
Which is crazy to think, because going into that game, he only had like 11 points in the entire season.
He was not doing well at all.
No, he drops to 6.
To make that night even crazier on top of all that, that was the night every single member of the New York Rangers coaching staff was out with COVID protocol. They had their AHL coach as their head coach. They had their assistant general manager as one of the assistant coaches, and then one of the assistant coaches from their AHL team up. So none of the regular coaches, and they sit there and blow them out 9-0. Then you see on Twitter, everyone's like, well, can the Blue Jackets entire coaching staff go out to COVID, or can we just keep the Rangers coaches out?
Jeez, man.
If you're doing that, keep the coaches out. Why not? I mean, good grief.
Drop it on 9. I mean, I know Kyle from Broadway Hats. He's got to be loving that. Just seeing his Rangers absolutely just destroy Philadelphia like that.
Kyle was having a blast on Twitter that night.
For sure.
It was hilarious.
We got to get Kyle on here sometime to talk about, about some of these East matchups and talking about, the Rangers and stuff like that. Because I would love to get some of his perspectives on the East right now. And just talking about the Rangers, because the fact that with Zibanejad, how he's doing, Grigoriev, Timmy Panarin, how he's been doing over there, and the fact that everything else going on with the Rangers, we definitely got to get him on, because I think that'd be a fantastic just to have a guy, have like an East Division correspondent and stuff like that. So, because I would love to have, the thing I would love for this show to have is us having like someone to come on and join us to talk hockey from each division, or whenever we get back to the normal conferences and our normal divisions. I would love for us to be able to have one from the Metro, Central, West, and all that stuff. So, or the Pacific. So that'd be great. Here's one question I do want to bring up to you. Someone mentioned this on Twitter. I forget who it was, and I'm sorry I forget your name. Someone mentioned, what if we kept the Toronto division as an actual division starting next season, and just having everyone go back to the normal divisions, but keep all of Canada together? What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm actually kind of like, I actually kind of like that, because this all Canada division has been absolutely wild, and I'm all for this.
So would I like it? Yes. I think there are some people that I would like to get their opinion on. Shout out to Rod Peterson. I would like to, Rod, if you're listening to this, I would like to get your opinion on that as well.
Rod, just come on the show, Rod. We need you to come on here and just let us know what you think.
Me personally, I wouldn't mind it, but there's going to be a couple things. One, starting next year, the Seattle Kraken are coming. So we're going to even out to 32 teams. So that's still 7 Canadian teams. So now all the American divisions are going to be lopsided, unless you throw the Kraken in or the Wild in or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's I didn't think about that.
On top of that, you're going to have a lot of fans eventually get pissed off, because then you're going to have Toronto playing in Vancouver at 10 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. and vice versa. So then Vancouver is going to be playing 4 p.m. their Pacific time. And I think there would be fans that wouldn't like it. Specifically from the skill side of it and stuff, I think it would be sweet. I would like it. It would be really cool to see Edmonton and Calgary play each other this much more. And those two teams are always going to stay in the same conference. I mean, they're a couple hours away from each other in the same province.
Yeah.
But it's really cool seeing Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa play Vancouver and Winnipeg and Calgary and Edmonton that much. And I mean, granted, that's the only teams they're playing. So these games are all going to get feisty regardless.
Yeah. But, well, you're still gonna have other teams play each other. All the American and Canadian teams are gonna play against each other too. I'm saying it'd be kind of cool if they actually made just one whole division with the Canadian teams, and then throw in Seattle, and then have that as a division, but they'd still be able to play the rest of the league too. I'm not talking about just specifically them.
I mean, all you have to do is just get Buffalo, move them to Quebec, and call it a day.
Yeah, because
there you go. You have your 8 Canadian teams.
Yeah, because let's be honest, I don't think people in Buffalo don't even want Buffalo right now because
I don't know if you saw. I saw a bunch of stuff on Twitter where they put their tickets on a pre-sale for the season ticket holders, and it was almost every single one of them were untouched. So they released them for sale to the public because almost no season ticket holders wanted to buy these things. I thought that was hilarious.
When you have 6 wins and you're the only team not in double-digit win totals and not in the 20s and points wise, can you really blame their fans for not wanting to renew their season tickets? Because no one wants the ones that dumpster fire, thrown into a volcano, and all the other stuff we talked about in our last episode. Because that is rough.
All right, so I have the perfect idea. All you have to do is get rid of Buffalo, but not move them. Nothing. Get rid of them. The players can go to the city. I don't care. Get rid of Buffalo. They suck anyways. get rid of them. You're going to have a spot vacant in the NHL. All you have to do is bring up your good old Halifax Highlanders into the NHL and move Buffalo over there.
Oh, my
Why
word.
not? Come on. Jack Eichel is the captain of the Highlanders with Doug Glatt is your alternate captain. Come on. Ross the Boss Ray is your goaltending coach. Why not? They'll just beat the crap out of everybody.
This isn't. Oh my goodness! You might as well bring Emilio Estevez to be the head coach at this point.
Hey, can't get worse than Buffalo. You can't say I'm wrong there.
No, I mean you are right, but I kind of like the Quebec idea a little bit better. You know what? I'm really surprised there's no team in Saskatchewan. Let's just put a team in Saskatchewan. Give all the provinces a team. Let's do it.
Saskatchewan Highlanders. The Halifax can be their AHL team.
No, let's pull let's put them on Newfoundland.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Put them in Alaska. Who cares? They'll be part of the Canadian team.
Just call them the Newfies.
Oh, Jesus.
Could you imagine the Newfoundland I mean, they got the Growlers out there for the ECHL.
Yeah, why not? True. Might as well.
Just put a pro team out there and just call them the Newfies.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic. Honestly, that'd be the most wild team ever. The travel is going to absolutely just suck to get out there, but that'd be highly fantastic if we're going to make up. Mystery Alaska. Let's do it. Let's bring Mystery Alaska as a team.
Oh my goodness gracious!
The Alaskan Mysteries. Fantastic name for a hockey team. Why not?
Killing me. So we've got one more thing in the NHL to talk about, and then we're going to actually go back to some news that honestly we forgot about from the NWHL. We're going to touch that here in a second. Yeah. The final news, it's in 3 parts, all comes out of Anaheim. Number 1, hey, congratulations to Ryan Getzlaf on what is it, his 700th point?
Assist.
700th assist. That's pretty special. Honestly.
That's a lot of apples.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
You could basically grow an orchard with all those assists.
Oh, absolutely.
See what I did there?
Like the whole country of, just take the whole state of Kansas. Why not? Honestly,
you really don't like Kansas, do you? You brought Kansas in your volcano reference. Did you have something against Kansas? I'm really curious about this, or is this just a random state you left pulling? It's
a random state I pull. That's the middle of the country, and no one cares about. Let's make it better. Illinois.
I mean, I'm not from there, but that's just rude. I think all the boys over at Four Feathers Podcast might not enjoy that. But
that's fine. So the second part, I thought this was pretty cool. Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale both got their first NHL goals in the same game.
Congrats to them.
Jamie Drysdale, this was his first NHL game, and he also got his first NHL assist as well on Zegras' goal. Oh, that's nice. Pretty sweet. That's their first game together. Jamie Drysdale gets his first goal and first assist in his first game. Zegras gets his first goal.
That was filthy. That Zegras goal was kind of filthy, though. Let's be honest.
That was dirty. Absolutely dirty.
Silk. It was so silky that it was just too smooth, which just was also dirty. That's just how nice it was. You're just like, excuse me, sir.
Yeah. It's excuse me. Excuse me, princess.
The goalie's jock straps and like row double Z because he just folded him that bad.
Yeah. So before we move on to period 2, Zach, why don't you go ahead and tell us that Peter McGuire is not going to be announcing the NWHL games.
He is not, and I'm so happy he is not, because no one wants to hear him talk about this guy and his Canadian Hockey League team back in his days and blah, blah, blah.
He'll find a way to start talking about the Toronto Six and somehow make it about Sidney Crosby. Like,
probably.
Dude, shut up.
Yeah.
No one cares.
We don't care. Yeah.
Go get married to Sid and just call it a day. Just get it over with.
Yeah, right. So basically, this is the NWHL announcing team for the NBC Sports podcast, which I'm really excited for. So we got Kate Scott will be doing the play-by-play, and then they got AJ. I'm so sorry, I might pronounce your last name wrong. It's Melsko. It's Mleczko. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name right. I think it's Mleczko. She's gonna be the analyst, and then they got Kaylee Chelios is the ringside reporter. Kaylee Chelios is actually the daughter of Chris Chelios. So
not a bad choice there.
Not a bad choice. So that is going to be your announcing team. You got Kate, AJ, and Kaylee doing the play-by-play, the analyst, and the ringside reporter. So that is going to be fantastic. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Nice. That would be almost considered like your dream team of your broadcast crew, especially for something like this. So I'm really excited for how that's going to play out. So that is actually going to be our crew for the NWHL playoffs.
That's awesome.
Weekend.
Some good choices. Sure. That's going to be pretty sweet.
For sure. So moving on to period 2, let's start with your Blue Jackets, because I'm not really to talk about my Blackhawks yet, because it's been a week.
Yeah.
You had your week last week where you weren't really happy about your team. So this week is my team not to enjoy my team. So let's just that's fine. Let's start with you, because I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for the therapy session, because I gave it to you last week. I'm not ready for mine yet. So let's just start off with you.
How does that make you feel?
No, save that for period 3. We'll save it for period 3. You can do yours now.
Sorry. That's fine. I'm paid by the hour. I'm billing you, so no big deal. So moving on to period 2 of Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports and sponsored by Pure Hockey and Spy Optic. My boys are looking decent now.
I guess they must have heard our podcast. We were actually just crapping on them, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we next week turn it up. We need to do something.
The one thing I will say is now they've played 4 games in a row where they went to overtime, and it's getting irritating that
you don't want all that free hockey.
No, it's
no,
it's annoying. It's absolutely ridiculous. I want regulation games and regulation wins. Granted, so last night we won against the Carolina Hurricanes in overtime 3-2. I'm fine with that. We looked good. Carolina gets the OT point, fine, because they're so far ahead of us in the standings. It really doesn't matter as long as we can get the 2 points.
At this point, it really doesn't matter what Tampa and Carolina does. They're so. I mean, if somehow we're able to manage to catch Florida, I'd be happy with that, because right now, actually, Florida's in that camp too. Yeah. So actually, honestly, you really just got to worry about my team.
Yeah.
At this point,
to be honest, right now the battle for 4th place is between the Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks, and kind of Dallas,
kind of Nashville too, because Nashville's at 27, Dallas is at 25. So you can maybe say those two teams as well. So you're looking between 4 and 7. We're at about an 8-point difference.
Yeah.
And right now, both of our teams have 5 games in hand on Dallas.
Yeah. So
there's a good majority of your points right there.
Yeah. So that's one of those things that hopefully Dallas kind of starts to slide a little bit, which is what we want for both of our sakes, to be honest. But from the Blue Jackets perspective, last night, everything that happened is what we wanted. The Blue Jackets won. Chicago lost in regulation to Tampa. That's what we wanted to deal with. I know you didn't want to deal with it. Well, too bad. From the Blue Jackets perspective, that's it. Everything happened positively to affect the Blue Jackets. So last night, the game was so weird. The first period, we looked great, and we put a ton of shots on net. The second period, I'm pretty sure they were all like super drunk or stoned or something. They looked terrible in that second period. Third period, they looked mediocre. So did Carolina. And then Seth Jones comes back with just a little top cheese snipe in OT to take the game. Cool. Then this past Sunday, we go to a shootout with Dallas, and every single Blue Jackets player that shot in the shootout missed the net, blatantly missed the net, and just went right to the boards. And then, of all people, Alexander Radulov is the one that scores in the shootout in the third round. Makes no sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, I've said it on my other podcast, CBG After the Blast, that this stretch for Columbus, these 4 games against Carolina, are super important because they're that far ahead. And I think these 4 games is going to determine our trajectory for the rest of the season, if we're going to be buyers or sellers or anything like that. Now, there have been some statements that nothing can be backed up as usual on Twitter, but there are some statements from specific accounts, which I will not name, that say at the end of these 4 games, the Blue Jackets are going to decide if they want to trade Nick Foligno or not, which, if it's true, fine. If it's not, fine. But at least have some base behind what you're putting out there and have some type of a source or something.
Yeah.
But these games can 100% determine the trajectory of the Blue Jackets for the rest of the season, if we're going to make the playoffs or not, if we're going to be buyers or sellers for the free agency or not. There's going to be a lot that happens by the end of next week, because with this quote unquote, this 14-day quarantine that these players have to be able to go to a Canadian team, or for, that's about that mark. Yeah. So it's about that mark that, a lot of these teams are going to be wanting to do stuff sooner than later. So if the Blue Jackets get blown out the next 3 games, expect to see something happen, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, because we're already over the halfway point. Some teams have played over 30 games. There's some teams who haven't even played 30 games yet. So you really got to factor in, do you want to make a trade on the second half of a short season, and you got to factor in all the wait time if you're going cross borders.
Yeah.
So do you want to lose a guy for possibly 6 to 7 games because he's in the middle of a quarantine, and now you're down to what?
Yeah,
maybe 15 games left, if that.
Yeah. So a lot of these teams, like I know Toronto is wanting to make a good push, and I know Kyle Dubas is wanting to do something sooner than later because of that quarantine period, if it's with an American team. Now, I don't know if Canadian to Canadian is going to be the same. I have no idea, but I know that a lot of the talks with Columbus.
I don't think it really depends on the province, I guess, depending on what theirs is. But
yeah, the local government makes the final decision. I know that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that as bad as this going from Canada to the States. But I don't think it's that. I think it's like maybe 2 or 3 days, maybe 7 at the max. So,
well, I mean, unless it's changed since then, when we got Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic. Now, Jack Roslovic, granted, was in Columbus, but it was a 48-hour period of quarantine, and then you had to have 2 negative tests in a row, which they obviously both got, but I don't know if they changed it or not. But either way, the teams in Canada that are making a push for Blue Jackets players are going for guys like Max Domi, David Savard, Nick Foligno. They've been talking about Mikhail Grigorenko and Elvis Merzlikins, which I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. But I'm not a fan of that, because whether people want to admit it or not, he's our future, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I don't know. I think if something's going to happen, it's going to happen by the end of next week. If it's Columbus related or not, regardless, these Canadian teams have to do something sooner than later. But still,
sure. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with Columbus, it's really going to depend on who they want to go for, what happens in these next couple games. Because by some chance, if we win all 4 games, Columbus will probably end up being a buyer, and they're going to be looking to move guys. Now, do I see there are some guys there? There are some guys on the Blue Jackets that things have happened over the last couple weeks that I don't see them being here the rest of the season. Do I see David Savard still being here? No. Do I see Max Domi still being here? No. Nick Foligno, about 50-50, honestly. Now, the one thing a lot with him that I've seen a lot of people say is, why not? Because obviously he lives in Columbus. He wants to be in Columbus. So trade him to another team. We get something in return, and then he hits free agency and re-signs with us on a team-friendly deal. I don't see the bad thing about that.
Sorry, who was it again you said?
Nick Foligno.
Okay.
Like he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and he's 33. So he's not going to be coming back signing an 8-year deal. He's only going to be probably signing a couple years. I'd say a 2 or 3 year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get something in return that could benefit the team, go for it, I guess.
If you talk to Nick, like, hey, we want to trade you somewhere to get some assets back, but you're going to be free agent. Let's bring you back on a 1 year, 2 year deal next year. Let's just run it back. He's probably going to be like, okay, sure, cool.
Yeah.
If you talk to him about it, let him know, hey, this is the plan. We want to have you. We want to bring you back. It's just we're going to do a quick little, rental and bring you back. We've seen it happen before with other teams. So
yeah.
As long as you let him know what's going on, and he loves Columbus, like you said, he lives there. I don't see why he wouldn't be like, all right, let's do it. Let's just do this quick rental. Yeah. My family will stay here. I'll go to wherever for the next 2 months left, 3 months left. It already depends how far where he goes and how far if he gets into the playoffs.
Yep.
You're looking at a 2 to 4 month rental, and you come back to Columbus right after that.
Yeah,
that's actually a smart move. I would say if the Jackets want to do that, go for it. And then you have Knicks for it. Why not? Like you said, it's almost like a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
You're getting assets back for him, and you sign him back. So it's almost like a win-win because you're getting a lot of stuff in the process of trading him and then getting him back. So
no, for sure. I think a lot of that we need to try and get something going because the Blue Jackets, we have 7 unrestricted free agents after this season.
Jeez.
And not including Brandon Dubinsky. So 8 actually, because Mikko Lehtinen is going to be unrestricted, and I didn't take him into consideration, but it's one of those things that hopefully they're going to do something. The reason I think David Savard is going to be gone is because they brought in Mikko Lehtinen. They traded and got him back. So that tells me they're most likely going to be getting rid of David Savard. He's on a $4.25 million salary cap hit. They're not going to re-sign him for that. Get some assets back. And a lot of this, they need to free up cap space because let's be real, Patrick Laine is most likely going to re-sign.
Right.
I don't know what term, but it's going to be a lot of money.
From what I hear, Mikko Lehtinen is supposed to be pretty good. He's, like I said, we've talked about last week's show. He's supposed to be the Swedish Bobby Orr. So why not, right? If they're going to go trade this kid, why do you need Savard, who, the goals and assists, it goes so far and stuff like that. But if you're a guy you don't need to pay that guy that much money just to stop pucks, and he's nervous around the puck. You got Lenton for a reason. Use him, trade Savard, get some draft picks, or get another guy back that's going to help your team. I don't think you're going to get a top line center for him, but you might get something out of the deal. Could be a player or a pick. But
yeah,
at that point, why keep Savard if he's not really going to do much for you guys in the future?
He's a good shot blocker, but
that only goes so far.
It, honestly.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Because that's what Nicholas Jarmuson was. He was a really good shot blocker, but he was also offensive and he knew what to do. And I think with the Jackets, it's like Savard is a really good shot blocker in that, but unfortunately, he's the more defensive defenseman.
Yeah,
he's not really going to do a whole lot for you guys.
Now he looked actually surprisingly good last night from an offensive standpoint. He's had quite a bit of shots on net in the last week or two, which is
wild considering that what we just said, he's not really that offensive. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's something very odd that it's
like what,
like seeing Carey Price give up 10 goals in a game or something out of nowhere. It's one of those things that you don't see at all.
So it's going to definitely be interesting what you guys do for sure, especially the fact that you guys are 2 points behind us, but then you also got to worry about Nashville and Dallas. It's really make or break right now especially for the teams between 4th and 7th in this division. Because let's face it, unless the 3 teams ahead of us absolutely have a monumental collapse, I think those top 3 spots are pretty much locked, and they're all just fighting for the 1 through 3 seed.
Oh, I thoroughly think that's what it is.
Yeah.
With Tampa, Florida, and Carolina, I think those top 3 spots are locked in.
I'm so sick of playing Florida teams. I'm so sick of Florida teams right now. I cannot stand Florida right now.
I'm over it, but especially the Panthers. I mean, we always play good against Tampa, but dude, the Panthers are owning us this year.
What the heck? Like, we both said, Florida's going to probably finish 7th. They're not really going to matter a whole lot. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, we're going to be in 2nd place now. And it's like, excuse me?
Dude, freaking Alexander Barkov has been stupid this year. Jonathan Huberdeau has been crazy. Sergei Bobrovsky and Chris Stryger have both been really well. I mean,
it's and according, Keith,
probably one of them,
Handel and all those guys too. He's just like, all right, cool.
I'd say on their team, probably the most underrated player that no one's really thinking about is Patrick Hornquist. That was a great move for Florida to trade and get him from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh never really used him right. Everyone thought he was done in Pittsburgh because the reason why he was was because of Crosby and Malkin. Goes to Florida and he's like, actually, I still have some gas left in this tank. Let me show you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's just absolutely destroying people. And everyone's like, all right, well, that's great. Florida basically just got better quietly. And now they're tied for first, and they're 2 points back of first place in the division, and they're tied with Carolina. It's like, all right, cool. Thanks for showing up, Florida. You're like,
oh, tell me about it. It's weird.
Right.
I don't know what's happened. I mean,
this whole season's been wild, but Florida is just like, oh, hey, we're not going to finish 7th in the division. We're actually going to fight for the top spot with Tampa, and then the teams that everyone thought Columbus was going to make it, and now they're fighting for a last place spot for the 4 spot.
I mean, that's a Columbus thing to do. It happens almost every year anyways.
But you're not doing it with but you wouldn't be thinking you're doing it with the Blackhawks in 4th. I mean, I'm a realist.
Any other season, yes. This season with the injuries and guys you've lost, no.
Yeah. Scary part is Doc's he's gonna be back sooner rather than later, and Tays might be coming back. We still don't know what's going on with Jonathan Tays yet, but Kirby Doc is almost back.
Yeah.
And with the fact that Brent Seabrook retired, we also have $21 million in cap space.
Yeah.
Our cap space got really huge with that contract going off the books. So so think about that. The Blacks might be some buyers with our massive cap space that we got, which is like everyone thought being cap space hell for a while, but for the fact that we actually got some space back, it's going to be crazy. But yeah, for your team, man, I don't know. I'm really interested to see because when is the trade deadline for the NHL?
I believe it's April 14th.
Yeah, so we're not that far away. We're about like what? 3 weeks?
3.5 weeks.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for our post trade deadline episode because it's going to be wild with all these moves. I don't know how crazy it's going to be, but I'm curious to see how that's going to play out, especially with all these teams. I'm going to try to buy in with how close we are getting to the season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you right now, this season has not disappointed in terms of storylines and drama. This is probably the most exciting season we've had probably since that 13th season.
Yeah, dude, it's
wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to see what's happening. And honestly,
that's the great thing about the NHL. We're never short of storylines.
No,
in this league, it's fantastic.
So, talking about the Blackhawks, we'll go ahead and move into period 3 real quick. Period 3, the Kansas Tomahawks podcast, presented by Bel Air Sports, sponsored by Pure Hockey and Spy Optic. So, there is a good chance they could be buyers because looking at it here on Cap Friendly, in the next 3 years, they have every single draft pick other than one. So, it's just the 3rd round draft pick next year that they don't have.
Yep.
Other than that, they have everything else. So, especially with Seabrook retiring, I mean, you guys could really make a splash. And then on top of the possibility of getting Jonathan Tays back and then getting Kirby Doc back here soon and possibly Andrew Shaw, whatever's going on with him. I don't see that happening. I know he's on LTIR, but
it's concussion protocol. So he's had concussion issues the last 2 years. I don't really know if he's going to come back. I hate to say it, but Andrew Shaw I'm not going to speculate, but I have a gut feeling that we're probably going to see a retirement out of him relatively soon, because that's like his third straight year, I think, of being on concussion protocol. At some point, it's like, how many more you really want to go get, especially with the style that he has. But getting Doc back, hopefully Tate's back this year. Dylan Strum finally just came back last night. He's missed the last 11 games.
Yeah, like finally, he's been sitting on my IR on my fantasy team for like a month, so I finally get to move him back into the active spot.
But yeah, and then of course with Seabrook retiring, which it stinks, but it does open a lot of space up. I'm curious to see if we're going to go do something with it during this season, or maybe we're looking at an off-season pickup of maybe like one or two guys that could help this team get better, which would be fantastic, because we've been kind of sitting with the older veteran players on these 1-2 year, like $1 to $2 million contracts. Now we have a possibility of going and get maybe a splash. I don't know in particular if we're going to do anything for this season. I'd be glad if we did. But I would also want to be shocked if the front office is like, let's wait until the off season, go get someone then, because of the fact too, we also have the NHL draft hasn't been moved. We're going to do that again in June, I believe. I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, but I could possibly see us buyers. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but it'd be great if we did do something, but I don't know. No one really knows what's going on half the time.
Yeah. I think with you guys, it's really going to depend on what happens as the Blue Jackets. I think it's really going to depend on what happens over the next week and a half.
Yeah. Because
you have the other game against Tampa tomorrow, you have Florida. 2 more against Florida.
Then we went back to back against Nashville, then 2 midweek against Carolina, and then Nashville again, and then 2 against Dallas, and then we're talking that, and then we got you guys on the 10th. So basically for the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, we got Nashville on a back to back, Carolina twice, and then Nashville for a one gamer in Nashville. Then we got Dallas twice, and then you guys. Yeah. On the 10th.
I think a lot of that for you guys, I think the decision for that is probably going to be made heavily by the end of that Nashville series. That gives you guys 5 more games to really kind of solidify what's going to happen, what direction things are going. And then I think that's going to really play more of a factor on what's going to happen with your team, if you're going to make trades or anything along those lines.
I would say we might have a decision by the end of the Carolina series, because that would put us at April 2nd, which is that Friday, before we have that one game series against Nashville, because then 13 days, and then about 12 days later, we're going to have the deadline on the 14th after our series with you guys on that Saturday, Monday. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Let's say 7 games between Florida, Nashville twice, and Carolina before that one game against Nashville.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, Dallas twice and then Columbus twice before that deadline. Yeah, they really got to figure out something, because right now, for the fact that since that 7-2 win against Detroit, they have lost in overtime to Tampa, beat Tampa 4-3, and that back-to-back Thursday, Friday, and then lost them on last Saturday, split the Dallas series, lost back-to-back against Florida. And then, in fact, we lost to Tampa last night, which absolutely stung.
For you, maybe.
Well, yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Is it time for the session? Are we really going to start doing the therapy session now? Because I'm not.
That's fine. All right. So, Mr. Zachary Martin, how does the Blackhawks being terrible make you feel?
Right now, not feeling really that great, for the fact that, we have kept our own against Tampa. I kind of wish we played a little bit better, but that Florida series, I think, was absolutely probably the killer, because, that 6-3 loss against Tampa really hurt. That 6-1 loss to Dallas is pretty bad. That Florida series was just all kinds of bad, especially since we were actually doing really good in that game on the 15th, because it was 1-1 after the first, and then we had Kershev and Hagel score, but then unfortunately Florida had to score 2 in the second to keep it close, and then they had a 3-goal third period because we were actually feeling really good in that game. And unfortunately, I think that was the game where we had Malcolm Subban, and that was not fantastic. It was just,
yeah. You guys didn't seem too hot there, but
oh, you know what? Sorry, I think that was actually Lankinen in that game. I can't remember. I'm trying to see.
So Lankinen is terrible now. Okay, let me go ahead and put my super smart glasses on real quick.
Hold on, I don't think it was actually. No, actually,
How does that make you feel?
That was him. Goalies. I mean, he's a rookie, man. Every goalie is going to have a bad game. It is what it is. I'm not upset about that. I mean, Lincoln has been really, really good for us this year. I am not really too worried. I mean, he's had some. I think that's probably like his worst game that he's had outside of that 5-goal game earlier this year and stuff like that. I mean, he still has a 10-7-4 record. And he still has a 287 goals against and a 914 save percentage. He's played 21 games.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Trade him.
The kid's 25, and that's the first 21 games he's ever played in the NHL. I mean, the fact that he's 10-7-4 right now, I mean, you'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's a lot better than he was expected to be because
everyone viewed him as the third goalie, honestly.
Well, yeah, you go into the season thinking Malcolm Subban's your guy, and then you have Colin Delia as your backup, and then you're like, oh, well, this Lankinen guy, yeah, he can be our number one in the AHL and our taxi squad guy. Okay, well, no, now he's your starter. In my opinion, he is your starter.
He is a starter, honestly. He's played the most games out of everyone, and they sent Delia back to Rockford, so it is what it is. And I think last night was probably the worst game he's really had because he let in 2 really soft goals. But that game, that 6-goal game, that was a lot of the defense that helping him out too. So I mean, you really can't put that type of game on him. And of course, like I said, he's a rookie. It's gonna happen. So I think last night was probably the one where that was probably his quote unquote worst night for laying against soft goals.
Yeah.
I mean, but every goalie is going to have one of those games where they just,
of course. I mean, you can't be perfect.
Yeah.
You can't be a Patrick Waugh. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, of course he stepped up later in the game and stuff. And that 3rd goal that Tampa scored was kind of suspect because of the fact that the guy ran into Kevin and the puck went in the net. So that was kind of a suspect goal. I don't think that they should have really reviewed that for goalie interference, but for whatever reason they didn't. So I really wouldn't count that 3rd goal against Kevin because of the fact that he got ran into. So that one's kind of BS. But after those first 2 goals, though, he looked really good in that game last night against Tampa. It's just, unfortunately, they scored that 3rd goal and the Hawks never able to get back in that because they didn't score for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not worried about Kevin. Like I said, it's 21 games. It's like his first 21 games ever. He's playing really well. The defense has kind of been suspect for the last couple of weeks. They can't, they've left the goalies to dry. Malcolm Subban, that's kind of a different story. Malcolm Subban is just, whatever reason, the rebounds are still killing him. So, I mean, for the fact that, we're still where we're at, Lankinen, like I said, with the 287 goals against, over a 910 save percentage, you'll take anything. Any team will take that.
No, yeah, no, for sure.
So I mean, Lincoln is our guy. It's just right now, it's just how the fact that this team has been it's just getting outscored. They've been up 6, 2, 4, 6, and 4. Then let's count the other 6 against Tampa back on the 7th. It's the defense has not really been there. Like I said, other than that Dallas win, it's been a little bit rough right now, just with whatever's going on right now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because of the fact that it's just, I don't know if it's the system or guys are getting tired. I don't know what's really going on. I mean, I think they'll get out of that because we've seen stretches where they haven't been playing really well, but then we'll see how it was back in February where beat Carolina, beat Dallas, they swept Dallas, lost to you guys, then beat you on the weekend, beat Detroit twice, lost to Carolina, beat you guys twice again. Then we had that split series against Detroit before going into the month of March. I mean, we've seen streaks where the Hawks get hot and they'll start winning a lot of games. Just right now, unfortunately, Florida teams are absolutely the bane of my existence right now.
Yeah, no,
they are rough, and I hate playing those guys. And for the fact that we got after Tampa, we have to come back to Chicago next week and play Florida twice again.
Yeah, have fun with that.
After they outscored us 10-5 in 2 games in Florida.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
I'm so over this. Carolina, I'm kind of excited for the Carolina series because the Hawks have shown that they can stay with the Hurricanes. So, and like you guys have it seems like both of our teams are good against Carolina. For whatever reason, Tampa and Florida have been our problem.
Well,
for both of us.
I think Columbus
more so for me than you.
Columbus plays really well against Tampa.
Yeah.
It's just Tampa usually will squeak it out. Those are usually hard-fought games. Their games this year against Florida have been terrible. I mean, overall, they're horrendous.
I mean, like I said, like we did lose 6 to Tampa. We did beat them 4-3. Lost them the night before in an overtime 3-2. That was that Hedman goal at the very last second.
Yeah.
And then other than that, the opening series to start the season off that where they won outscore 10-3 to start the season, that wasn't great. And this is actually the third series we've had with them since then. Of course, like I said, we had that random 3-gamer where it was the overtime loss, the win, and that 6-3. So, I mean, for the most part, they've kind of somewhat kept up with Tampa, not that much. Florida has just been up and down, but recently it's just, oh my gosh, I cannot stand Florida right now. So
yeah, Florida's getting irritating for everybody.
Yeah, the thing is, after that, the Hawks don't see Florida again until the last week of April going into May. And then so we got that after that series with you guys right before the deadline, after the deadline, 2 against Detroit, 3 against Nashville, that 1 random game against Tampa, and then 2 games against Florida, and then 3 straight against Carolina in Carolina, and then the end of the season on the 9th and 10th of May on that Sunday-Monday doubleheader is against Dallas.
Yeah.
So really, it's we don't have to play Florida that much. It's just at some point we got to figure it out. And I really don't want to go into the last few weeks after the deadline because we're done with you guys after the deadline. So basically, we got Detroit, Nashville, Tampa for 1, Florida for 2, Carolina for 3, and Dallas for 2.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's going to be wild.
We have 4 more against Florida, and the problem is they're all in Florida. That's where the issue is going to come in for us.
Yeah, luckily for us,
same thing with Tampa. We have 4 more against them, and they're all in Tampa.
Yeah, we have after you guys.
6 more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, after you guys on that April 10th, 12th series, 2 in Detroit, 1 away in Nashville, 2 at home against Nashville, the 1 random game at home against Tampa, 2 at home. So the Florida comes us for the last 2 with them, 3 straight in Carolina, Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back, Thursday night game, 2 days off, both last 2 games of the season, both at home against Dallas.
Yeah. After our series with you guys in April, we have 2 games in Dallas, 2 games, a back-to-back in Florida, 2 games in Tampa, and then our final game is a home against Detroit.
Jeez.
So it's
at least
we could get it pushed in those 6 games, and then they're going to give us a consolation game against Detroit. Here, we'll let you guys play this to make you, so you can feel good about yourselves.
Yeah, and like I said, at least all the Florida teams the games against the Florida teams are all going to be at home. I'm just not a big fan of the fact that we had that 1 random road game against Nashville, and then we play them on that's Monday night. Then we play them Wednesday night and Friday night in Chicago. So we got Nashville. We have 1 week of games. We have 3 games in 1 week in April, all 3 against Nashville. 1 on the road, 2 at home. Then we got Florida all that week. We got Tampa Tuesday, Florida Thursday, and then Saturday. Carolina Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, all in Carolina, and then back to back against Dallas.
Yeah.
We potentially, depending on how the rest of this month goes and how April goes before the deadline. Basically, I'm looking after the deadline. This is between our 2 teams. And we really got to hope. We got to hope that Dallas and Nashville absolutely just keep playing the way they are, where they're playing 500 and not really catching us. and basically you and me are looking at, all right, what are we looking at in terms of April 15th until about May 10th?
So there's a correction on my part. The trade deadline is the 12th.
Oh, the 12th?
Yeah, I thought it was the 14th for some reason, but I just looked it up. It's the 12th at noon Pacific time, so that'll be 3 Eastern.
So right before, so probably about 4 hours before our last game against you guys.
Yes.
All right, so let's basically say the 13th. From the 13th until basically the end of the season, we really got to hope before then and after then that Nashville and Dallas just don't get hot, and it's down to us between our two teams, and then we just really got to worry about what's going to happen with that, because basically my team, they got to beat Nashville and Dallas. Like they kind of, even if they go 500, they have to at least go 500 because that'll keep them behind us.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all it is. Unless it's either 500 or better against Nashville and Dallas, because the more of course, if our two teams beat them, then they're not going to catch us.
Yeah.
And then basically we just got to beat each other up for 2 more games, and that's it. So it's going to come down to us beating the other teams.
Yeah. And
essentially,
I think with you guys, the one thing that could be the issue is so you have Dallas as a back-to-back as your last 2 games.
Yep.
And then you have those 3 games against Carolina, all in Carolina the week before.
Yeah.
That could be a real issue for you guys, depending on how they're playing and who's hot at that point in time. That could be a real season killer for you.
Yeah, because that would be a rough 5-game stretch. Then you're even talking about the week before we got Tampa and then Florida twice.
Yep.
Like we're looking at possibly 3-6. We're looking at an 8-game stretch at the end of the season. We're playing the top 3 teams in our division and Dallas, who's on the heels of both of our teams.
Yeah. No,
I really don't want to go into that last week with Dallas have to win one of those games to make the playoffs.
Yeah. You don't want to have to wait for the last week to win, but the Blue Jackets seem to do it every year, so I guess I'm used to it by now.
Because what are the last 8 games for you guys?
So the last 8 games, give me 1 second. I just had it pulled up. So the last 8 games for Columbus, I know we've got a decently, it could be like a 50% easy, 50% rough stretch. I know it doesn't really help too much, but
yeah,
it could end up being pretty rough for us. So in April, at the end of April, we have, so after our series with Chicago, we're at Dallas for 2 games, at Florida for 2 games, at Tampa for 2 games. Oof. And then we have 1 home game against Detroit. And then after that, we're at Carolina. And then we have a 4-game homestand. So 2 against Nashville, 2 against Detroit. So the end of our season after the Tampa series. So for example, if we needed 2 wins in the last 6 games, I think we could easily get that. Because, we played Detroit 3 times, all in Nationwide. Detroit is terrible at Nationwide. They are. Nashville is where the issue comes into play because the Blue Jackets are terrible against Nashville.
Yeah.
And then Carolina, we'll see, because, they're doing really well in the standings right now, but the Blue Jackets always play them very well too. So who knows? I
remember the TikTok you made with Nashville. You guys are like 9 and 30 something and whatever against Nashville.
Yeah. All time. I think we're like 9-38 or 9 and 39 and 1 all time. It's terrible. We are so bad against Nashville.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
That's wild. I mean, yeah.
Now, a lot of those wins, to be fair, came when we were in the Central with Nashville. And that's like in 07, 08 when the Blue Jackets were horrendous. And those were free, easy wins. Just like with Chicago, it was a free win over the Blue Jackets, just like it is with Buffalo right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I think right now we're gonna need to do something after the deadline, that Monday night against our last game against each other. I think we really need to start doing a playoff watch for the last 4 spot, like the last spot. We got to do like points back and games in hand. So we got to figure out a metrics or something that we're gonna need to keep like a daily update of that last spot, because like we kind of know the top three are pretty much almost locked right now, the way it's been going on right now. So I think we need to keep a tracker or something, and every day on Twitter or something, we just got to keep updating that fourth spot down to like that 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
Just keep a track of it, because I have a feeling that the last like 3-4 weeks of the season is just going to be absolute wild between Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, and Nashville. It's just going to come down to the wire.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to
as a hockey fan, I'm excited. As a Blackhawks fan, I am absolutely not excited for this, because I'm excited for the most part, but I'm also kind of like, oh no.
Well, I'm sure other teams like Tampa and Florida are going to enjoy looking down and laughing at us trying to kill each other for the rest of the season, while they're just sitting up there on their throne at the top of the Central right now. So fine.
Yeah. It's like I said, I'm looking forward to it as a hockey fan. As a Hawks fan, not so much, because that's going to be. I'm going to have like a lot of like, I'm going to need some bags and start hyperventilating every time we play someone, especially because of the fact that it's going to matter. It's like crap.
Oh, it's definitely going to get super nerve wracking, and I'm going to need high blood pressure medicine and all that crap. It's not going to be super fun.
CBD oil. Bring me the CBD oil. I need to relax.
Yes. Please bring it.
Yes. We just need something, because this is going to be. This is where I kind of need like Columbus Brewery or someone to be like, hey, we got some beers. Bring them our way, because we're going to need some of this to get through these games for sure.
I feel it. Yeah, absolutely, man. I feel that.
It's going to be wild, or I don't know. Well, I'll have to figure something out. But I'm excited though. Like I said, it's hockey season. This is the type of stuff that we love. The fact that we got all the drama. It's not like unnecessary drama like NBA or the NFL and stuff like that. This is like the drama that we have is like, who's going to make the playoffs with all these teams this close together? That's the part I love about hockey. It's like, we do have stuff, like there's a lot of stuff in hockey that needs to get fixed.
Oh my gosh. Zach, did you see the breaking news out of the NBA? LeBron James got a paper cut under his nail. He's out for like 10 minutes.
Oh no.
Breaking news, guys. We have to stop this podcast right now and talk about LeBron James.
Who are we? ESPN? Who are we? Sports Center? Come on now.
What? Come on.
No, I like it. I'm looking forward to this, man. But it's going to be fun. But yeah, we'll see how this is going to go for sure.
So that's going to about wrap it up for us today. Before we get into our outro segment, we do have a couple announcements that we're going to go ahead and make. First, as we've talked about before, we are going to be having the game for the championship game for the NWHL live stream next Saturday on March 27th. The stream will go up at 6:30, and we will hop in between 6:45 and 7. We're going to have a couple guests, a couple giveaways, things like that. Also, stay tuned. We will be having a giveaway for something clothing related. May or may not be Cannons and Tomahawks merch. We'll see. No idea.
You have to stay tuned and hear what it is.
Yep. And then later this week, we're not sure what day. Zach and I are going to be posting a video talking about a proposed new format, and we want to get everyone's feedback. The only thing we ask is just take a couple of minutes and listen to the video or watch the video. Whatever you want to do, I don't really care. If you want to watch or listen to it, just listen to the format that we want to propose. We're going to go ahead and have a test run with it for a few weeks and see how people like it. But we're actually going to record a video. We're going to put it out. It's only going to be a couple minutes long. We just ask that you guys listen to it and give us your feedback and let us know what you think about it. If you have any ideas or anything like that, all we want to do is improve, get better for everybody that wants to listen to us, wants to be our fans, interact with us. We just want to get better. We're here for you guys, and Zach and I are having fun doing it. So we want to be able to make you guys have enjoyable days listening to us and stuff like that. So we just want you to listen to that. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, we're over 430 followers. Our next goal is 500. We're getting there. We want to get to 1,000 because we want to do some giveaways at 1,000. We want to do giveaways at 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 even. Like we
1 million.
We're not spending chicklets yet. Eventually we'll probably get there, which will be nice.
Well, hey, Belly Up is the new Barstool.
But we are what they aren't, though.
Exactly.
So, I mean, for me, to be able to do this full time would be the ultimate dream, because to be able to just do talk hockey as a podcast, do, writing articles for the Blackhawks, for Belly Up Hockey and stuff like that, and sports in general, that's a goal of ours. So the more help we get from you guys, the more we get sponsors on, giveaways, maybe merch, maybe. The more we can do here, and the more we can grow and, help, you fans love our stuff more and get it out there, share it with your friends, stuff like that. That's all we really want to do. We do have a little, it's unique because we're talking about the Jackets and the Hawks a little bit more. But like we said, we have general NHL stuff we talk about, not as much, but we sprinkle it in there. And we talk about the NWHL. We'd love to talk hockey. College hockey, maybe at some point. The CHL, who knows? I mean, I follow the Portland Winterhawks out of the WHL. Maybe there's one podcast me and Alex will pick our WHL, OHL, and our UMJHL teams. Who knows? So we're all about hockey here. We can grow it to other leagues in North America or something like that. So
I mean, I already have my OHL team.
Who's that?
None of your business.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
Find out for future episode.
Well, stay tuned. So maybe that's another episode. We'll do that, and we have more ranking episodes coming out soon.
Yeah,
we got the top 10 movies going to come out next week. Hopefully, maybe we don't know. We're going to let you guys know about that.
Yeah, one of us may or may not have some really interesting movies.
It's you.
In that top 10. It's
you. It's you.
It's like a movie that's all in Russian. Who knows?
Hey, who knows? I mean,
great movie.
I have a Disney movie that's not the. I mean, I do have the Mighty Ducks on there, but I'm not going to tell you where I put it. But I have another Disney hockey movie that's on there that some people may or may not remember.
It's Brink. Kidding. No. Kidding.
But we have other rankings too. We might do a reverse retro ranking. We did home jerseys. We might do reverse retro. Away jerseys, probably not, because away jerseys are like, it is what it is.
Away jerseys, let's just make it easy. The Carolina Hurricanes have the number 1 away jersey. All right, there's our rankings.
But we might do some reverse retros. Hey, we might even do some, maybe KHL jersey rankings, KHL logos. We might do Canadian Hockey League rankings. We might do rankings on a bunch of other. We can do a lot of rankings and stuff like that. So just let us know what you guys think of the extra stuff. We don't want to do just pure age. We are going to do a lot of like I said, we are doing Blackhawks and Blue Jackets, but we also want to branch out into other hockey stuff too. So that's what period 1 is all about. Is us just doing a lot of broader hockey talk. So if you guys love that stuff, let us know about it. Maybe we'll do more bonus episodes on just specific stuff he wants to talk about. Maybe just an entire episode on the NWHL. Maybe do the CHL. Maybe do the AHL. Let us know what you think. Because all we want to do is grow our brand and just have more broad hockey with our, our little tweak of our teams too. But
of course,
this is a lot of fun. And I'm enjoying it. I mean, we're 10 episodes in, 10 official episodes, a lot of bonus stuff. We got more bonus stuff coming out soon. Hopefully we're going to have some special guests on at some point soon. We're working on some stuff, but hopefully we get some more coming in the future, but we won't be able to do any of this stuff without you guys. So we need your help. Yeah. So just give us your thoughts. So all we're trying to do is grow here at Belly Up Sports, and also make sure to support our guys too over at Belly Up Sports and all of our other podcasts.
Absolutely. They're all awesome. Great people, great podcasts, for sure. Great content.
I'm blessed that Belly Up brought us on, because I don't think we would have been here without those guys helping us out since day 1.
Nope.
So yeah, definitely need to check out Belly Up Sports for sure.
Yeah. And then side note, we're just going to give a little teaser. Zach and I may or may not be having another podcast down the road that we might start. We're not going to say what it is.
Maybe.
But vroom vroom. Anyways, That about wraps it up for us today on Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports and sponsored by Spy Optic and Pure Hockey. I'm Alex. That is Zach. And Zach, over here at the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, please remind all of our fine viewers and listeners, what is it all about here?
Beer, food, and hockey.
Thank you for listening to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. Beer, food, and hockey.